Genshin Impact is one of the biggest games in the world. It's got a fun story with some very deep lore, a big open world to explore, and a ton of collectibles to collect. And more confusingly sexy characters than you can possibly swipe your credit card at. But there is one big problem with the game, and it's to do with being a YouTuber who wants to make content around it. That's right, there's simply not enough views and subscribers in simply making content purely about the game. Luckily, there seems to be rich potential for farming views outside of Genshin Impact itself, by starting some beef with other content creators and making drama videos about it. So that's what I'll be doing for this video. Hi, my name is Chris, and for the past few months, I've been trying my hardest to make some quality content for Genshin Impact, by analyzing the story chapter by chapter and diving into the lore. Today though, I'm happy to announce that I'm officially done with all that. That's right, I'll be evolving into a full-blown drama channel in the near future. Look forward to it. But Chris, you might be saying, what happened to you? You've changed so much. Well, I am glad you asked. I'll show you the exact minute, nay the exact second that turned my soul pitch black forever. It's been a long ass day, man. Time to relax and read some YouTube comments. I'm sure that'll cheer me up.
Did you pull on the weapon banner? That's the only way you're getting that 5-star claymore.
Man, this video is kinda a bit too long.
Nice vid. But I wish it was longer.
I will never understand the Baiman hate.
Did he really pull on the weapon banner, got a 5-star, and was disappointed that it wasn't a character?
I'm happy to see more of Matash generic.
You're Paimon.
You pulled on the weapon banner. Of course you got a weapon.
Hab's mir noch nicht angesehen. Hatte noch keine Gelegenheit auf die Stunde.
Alright, that's enough. I'm sick and tired of these goddamn allegations against me. I did not pull on the weapon banner, and I'll prove it to you right now, god damn it! Alright, time to debunk these baseless accusations once and for all. Let me start by showing you the exact moment in question from my first video that's got so many people up in arms.
We asked Genshin whether he actually is a god like he claimed before, and he gives us some vague answer. Anyway, we've got some time before sunset, let's try our luck once again.
Orange. Oh, Orange. Orange, baby. No, not a weapon. Are you?
So as you can see, it's kind of hard to tell from the editing what banner I'm pulling on here, but the fact of the matter is I did get a 5-star weapon. The 5-star Claymore Skyward Pride to be exact. And D-Look was actually very happy that happened, when I finally realized he was in my party, that is. Now if we keep watching the footage, we can see that I actually do get a character in the same batch of pulls, the Electro Ninja Lady Kuki Shinobu. But unfortunately, that is not enough to sway my accusers, as you can actually pull 4-star characters on a weapon banner as well, according to all the Genshin experts out there. Now, unfortunately, I did actually delete my raw footage from the first video, so I can't just pull it out right now and play it back to check what banner I pulled on. Yes, how convenient, you're probably thinking. But no, I did in fact not delete it to hide evidence for this stupid ass video. I did it to clear space on my hard drive. Yeah, turns out recording 1 billion hours of footage on my small ass SSD does eventually add up. So, how am I supposed to clear my name now, you might be thinking? Well, I'll tell you. By checking the goddamn receipts. Because lucky for me, Genshin actually does have a way of checking what items, weapons, and characters you've gotten over your long history of pulls. And yes, it does go all the way back to the beginning, in November 2025. And it also shows you exactly what banner you pulled on. So these are my literal receipts from wishing in the game. And I'm not showing you all of them because of reasons. Anyway, let's find out once and for all if I actually pulled on the goddamn weapon banner, shall we? Hey guys, it's Chris from the future here. Now, as you can probably tell, I wasn't really in the best mental state when I was reviewing my pulls. And what I found out in my wish history actually really shook me to my core. Now, why did I react so strongly? Well, to understand that, we'll have to take a trip down memory lane together. Now, I don't usually talk about the past a lot, and there's a good reason for that. Now, I grew up in a pretty small, isolated town. Not the kind with one stoplight. The kind where everyone knows your name, your parents, and at least one rumor about you that isn't true. Or at least isn't wholly true. When I was born, there was an incident. Nobody explains it the same way, but the version I've pieced together from like interrogating people is that there was some kind of large-scale emergency. Industrial accident, maybe. And my parents were involved in stopping it. They didn't make it out of the situation, but I did. After that, the people in the town kind of started treating me differently. Not openly hostile, but distant. Like I was a walking reminder of something they would rather forget. Teachers got polite. I mean, the teachers were polite, and the neighbors were also. But nobody really wanted to get close to me. So I acted out a lot. I pulled dumb stunts, I skipped class. I did everything I could to gain attention. Not because I was a bad kid, but because being ignored is somehow worse than being disliked. Eventually, I enrolled in a kind of vocational training program. It was supposed to prepare us for public service roles, emergency response, security, that sort of thing. Very structured and a very competitive field, gotta say. That's where I met the two people who basically defined my life for the next few years. The first was this incredibly talented guy. Naturally gifted, good at everything, didn't really try but still came out on top somehow. Quiet, intense, clearly dealing with his own stuff. Nobody said it out loud, but his family history was rough, I think. The second person was someone who had everything put together. They were smart, disciplined. She knew exactly what she was doing. The kind of person who made you feel like you needed to get your life together just by standing next to them. And then there was me. Loud, underqualified, and somehow still convinced I was going to outdo both of them. Because that was a goal I had set for myself early in my life. I would do this. Anyway, we got assigned to the same team under an instructor who, to be honest, seemed completely uninterested in teaching us at first. Always late, always making excuses, but when things got serious, you realized he was actually paying attention the whole time, and to everything. Training wasn't easy. A lot of group exercises, simulations, and problem solving under pressure. The goal wasn't just to get stronger individually, but to actually function as a team, which for us was not natural. Somewhere along the way though, things really started to click between us. We trusted each other more, we relied on each other, even started to feel like, this is gonna sound dramatic, but kind of like a family. And that's when everything started to fall apart. The talented one, he just left us. Walked away from everything. No warning, no explanation that made sense. One day we were training together, the next he was gone, chasing something none of us fully understood. After that, things got a lot more serious. The training turned into real assignments. Higher stakes, actual risks. I started taking things more seriously too. Still me, still a bit of an idiot, but focused. Because at some point, I decided something. I wasn't going to be the kid everyone ignored anymore. If people were going to know my name, it wouldn't be because of rumors, or some incident I had nothing to do with. It would be because I had earned it. Anyway, after all that, a few years went by. I ended up leaving for a while. Not dramatically, I just felt like it would be best if I spent my time somewhere else for a few years. Which, in hindsight, probably was a sign of something more dramatic going on with me. I spent that time away from home with a specialist. Not officially certified, I think, but definitely effective. Very intense training, minimal supervision, a lot of figure it out or it gets worse. When I came back to my hometown, things were different. The town was the same, but not really. The people I grew up with had changed. Everyone was way more serious. Higher stakes, bigger responsibilities. Also, there was a noticeable increase in organized crime. Not normal crime, like themed crime. It was weird. These groups of highly coordinated individuals with matching outfits, very specific goals, and way too much confidence rummaging around the town. At first, I thought it was just a phase the town was going through, but it wasn't. Around this time, I found out one of those groups was connected to my past, specifically to the incident that happened when I was born, which is already a sentence that should not exist, but it does. Apparently, whatever happened back then wasn't just an accident. It was part of something bigger, which would have been great to know earlier, to be honest. So, naturally, I got involved. Not because I wanted to, but because every time I tried not to, it somehow became more my problem. There were missions, conflicts, situations that escalated way faster than they should have. And every time things got worse, the same names kept coming up. People with long histories, complicated motives, the kind of individuals where explanations somehow raised more questions. Sorry, it's a bit hard to talk about this. But at one point, several of my biggest problems we were dealing with were being orchestrated by someone who had technically been dead. Which is when I should have stopped asking questions, but I didn't. Because at the center of all of it was my former teammate and friend. The one who left. Turns out his whole finding answers thing had turned into something much worse. And somehow every major incident kept circling back around to him. So I made it my goal to bring him back. Not in a dramatic way, just like, hey, maybe stop making things worse kind of way. This turned out to be significantly more difficult than I had anticipated. There were a lot of confrontations, some emotional, some physical, some both. At one point, I had to deal with multiple large-scale threats happening at the same time, all connected to a plan that had apparently been in motion for decades, which is already unreasonable. But then it got way worse, because the deeper we went, the more it became clear that the people we thought were in charge weren't actually in charge. There was always someone else hanging out behind them, pulling the strings. And then someone behind that person as well. At one point, I'm pretty sure we discovered that an entire conflict had been manipulated by someone who wasn't even supposed to exist anymore. And everyone just kind of accepted that, like, yeah, okay, that checks out. Eventually, everything escalated into a full-scale war. Not metaphorically, an actual war in my hometown. Multiple factions, huge coordination, everyone involved, whether they wanted to or not. And right in the middle of it was me. Okay, I keep going. Still trying to fix this one very specific problem. My friend making increasingly worse life choices. At some point, things got so out of control that the original problem almost didn't matter anymore. It wasn't just about the town, or the past, or even the people pulling the strings. It was about stopping something so big that, realistically, I should not have been qualified to deal with it. And yet, there I was, somehow still involved, somehow still relevant, somehow still convinced I could fix everything. And the weird part is, it actually worked. Not perfectly, not cleanly, not even close, but enough. Things ended. People went their separate ways. And me and my former teammate finally settled things. Not really as friends or as enemies, but just as two people who had been through way too much at this point. Anyway, after that happened, I went back to my hometown. Anyway, after the war and I settled things with my teammate, I went back to my hometown. And finally, I was the one to outdo both my teammates. I had achieved my goal. I had become mayor of this town. And that, my friends, is the full story of Naruto. Also, I didn't actually pull on the weapon banner, I pulled on the standard banner, which is still not optimal because you want to save your primos for the character events, but suck it, I win. Hey guys, Chris here. Happy 1st of April to you all. Now obviously this video was made as a joke, but I just want to be clear here. Tracking down any comments that sounded just like slightly negative has been really hard. I had to scour through every single video. And there is a lot of comments on those videos, by the way. It's incredible. But yeah, thank you guys so very much for the support. Your comments really do make my day brighter, even though it might not seem like it from this video. Also, I just want to thank my channel members as always. They are LSC05, Qya4, Grim23, Roof the RL Panda, and Hope K96. Thank you guys so very much for going the extra mile and supporting me. Alright, we're heading back to the main content. No more drama. I'll see you for that. Bye.